হ্যালো বন্ধুরা, কেমন আছেন আপনারা সবাই? আশা করি ভালো আছেন। So this lesson is all about 10 business English expressions you need to know. So whether you are flat out getting off track, losing your train of thought, or banking on an early finish, these 10 essential business English expression will help you sound natural and confident at the office. English is the workplace. So at work, in the office, knowing the idioms, phrasal verbs, and unique vocabulary that's used in these profession contexts is so important. I'll admit that there is a lot to learn there, but today I want to focus on some really common, very useful expressions that you will hear often at work and in these professional contexts. At the office, with your colleagues, with your boss, with your clients, your customers, in interviews, speaking exams, with your teacher or your university professor. If you haven't already noticed, you'll soon realize that the office is where idioms and English expressions just go wild. At times, it feels like people only speak using idioms and slang. So whether you are flat out, getting off track, losing your train of thought, or banking on an early finish, these 10 essential business English expressions will help you to sound more natural and confident at work. So the first one is flat out. Let's start with flat out. If you are flat out, you are incredibly busy. You have lots to do, so much that you can't stop to have a break. I'll be flat out next week because there's a new shipment arriving. The next one is train of thought. Have you ever been talking about something and then completely forgotten what you're talking about and why you're talking about it? It happens to me more often than I'd like to admit. But this happens when your train of thought gets distracted by something else. The clear progression of your thoughts are stopped by something. So, my mom called and completely disrupted my train of thought. The next one is get back on track. Now, if you lose your train of thought, you will need to get back on track. If something is on track, it's happening as it should be, like there's no problem at all. If something is not happening as you planned and you want to change it, you want to get back on track. So, are you on track to complete the report by the end of the week? So logically, if something is not on track, it's not happening as it should be, then you are off track. Now, let's get back to the next one. You can even, if I want to elaborate more about getting off track, okay, it's like this idiom also has a literal meaning, to get lost or lose your direction, to literally get off the track. And here, a track means a path or a road. So if you're off the track, you're not on the road, on the path that you need to be on. The next one is to bank on. To bank on something means to bet that something will happen in a certain way. To be really sure or confident that something will happen. I wouldn't bank on it. That means it's not a good idea to assume that it will happen. The next one is to brush up on. This is actually a phrasal verb, but one that's idiomatic, and it means to update or to improve your skills in some way. It can be used any context really, formal or informal, but this expression is so useful in a professional context because sometimes it can be a little awkward or embarrassing to say that you don't have fantastic skills in one area, right? But by saying that you need to brush up on those skills is a much softer way of saying that you're not that good at something, but you're willing to practice or study to improve those skills. The next one is to bring something to the table. So this idiom means to provide something that will be of benefit, something useful. And it's often used in a professional context to describe the skills or experience that someone brings to a team or to a company. The next one is to bring up. Now, this is a very common phrasal verb. You've probably heard it before. It means to mention or introduce a topic. Someone can bring something up during a meeting, a call, or a casual conversation. The next one is to turn down. Again, this is another common phrasal verb, but it's also idiomatic. It means to say no to something or refuse something. They offered me tickets to the conference, but I had to turn them down because it's my son's birthday. He turned it down because they offered him the promotion but told him that they couldn't increase his salary. Wing it. Now, when you do something without planning or preparing for it, there are a couple of useful expressions that you can use. You can say that you will wing it. Usually this idiom suggests you didn't really plan it to be that way, but for some reason you are underprepared. So the next one and the last one is off the cut. If you do something that's off the cut, you're doing something without preparing for it, but you're kind of comfortable with that. You're cool with that. So this is all for today. I hope this was useful, and I hope that the next time you will all be using these idioms, and in your workplace or in a professional environment, even with your friends, you can try practicing them. So this is it for today. Click for the next video.